Hey there, history buffs! Today, I'm taking you on a journey to a fascinating chapter in African history. We're diving into the story of Tanzania post-1961, right after it gained independence from British colonial rule. Picture this, it's 1961. Julius Nyerere, a charismatic leader, steps into the spotlight as Tanzania's first president. But what makes his leadership so interesting? Nyerere had a bold vision for his newly independent country, enter Ujamaa. Now, Ujamaa isn't just another political buzzword, it's a Swahili term meaning familyhood. Nyerere's version of socialism, Ujamaa, was all about fostering a sense of community and self-reliance. He believed that Tanzania could become prosperous through collective farming and shared resources. So what did this look like in practice? Under Ujamaa, villages were encouraged to work together on communal farms. The idea was simple. Combine resources, share the workload, and everyone benefits. It was a dramatic shift from individual farming to a more collective approach. But let's be real. Implementing Ujamaa was no walk in the park. The policy faced significant economic challenges, infrastructure was lacking, and farmers were often reluctant to abandon their traditional ways. Plus, global economic factors weren't exactly in Tanzania's favor during this period. Despite these hurdles, Ujamaa had its merits. One of its biggest successes was fostering a strong national identity. People started to see themselves not just as members of their ethnic groups, but as Tanzanians. This sense of unity was a huge achievement in a country with such diverse cultures and languages. Moreover, Ujamaa laid the groundwork for future social reforms in the country. Initiatives in education and healthcare were launched, aiming to elevate the standard of living for all Tanzanians. The focus on self-reliance also instilled a sense of pride and resilience that endures in Tanzania today. By the late 1970s, the economic difficulties became too pronounced to ignore. Tanzania began to shift away from Ujamaa policies towards a more market-oriented economy. But the legacy of Ujamaa remains. It's seen in the strong communal bonds and national pride that continue to define Tanzanian society. So next time you hear about Tanzania, remember it's not just the stunning landscapes and wildlife, it's also a story of a nation's bold experiment with socialism. An experiment that, despite its challenges, left an indelible mark on its people and their sense of unity. Thanks for tuning in, history enthusiasts. If you found this intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into history. Catch you in the next video.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your contacts. Thank you. Greeting again, brothers and sisters and cousins of the other races who support our struggle for economic equality with the other races. This episode, the highlight of this episode is Pan-Afrikan Socialism, which, as the term suggests, is a combination of its socialism for Pan-African communities and especially the link between Africa and the diaspora, Continental Africa and Diasporan Afrikans. The Pan-Africanism in recent time, as we know it, started with the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and I am not, there are many videos I have done in which we focus on him and his important role he has played in terms of Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and his influence on leaders in the liberation struggle in Africa and outside of Africa, notably people like President Kwame Nkrumah. And in this video, President Julius Nyerere, who is the, let's call him the father of Ujamaa, African socialism. However, the socialism as an economic system is very important. We know capitalism, we live under capitalism, coming out, our foreparents came from slavery and helped to build capitalism to where it is, mainly all over the world, but especially in Europe and North America. And not today we have to be dealing with neocolonialism, which is the new form of colonialism which continues in most of Africa and in the outside of Africa, in the Caribbean and in Latin America and so on. But the important thing, while it's important for us to develop business and to have business like the other races in proportion to our population, of the population wherever we live, if we do not have an economic system in which the business operate, then we're going to end up African countries or Africa as a country. Hopefully, we'll have a united Africa, whether it's the sub-Sahara Africa by itself or the entire continent, including the North Africa. But Africa as a continent, Africa, a united Africa. Well, people say the United States of Africa. I don't like to use that term. That's it's too close to the United States of America. I think we need a different name, maybe the African United States or something like that, or Africa States, the French United, some other name. The new states and Sahel. It's now called Africa Union, the African Union, like the European Union. But that is changing with the formation of the AES, and particularly Guinea, particularly Burkina Faso, which is, in my view, the current and the current form of African socialism in action. In Tanzania, and Tanzania is also featured in this video. President Nyerere laid the foundation, and it was continued by President Magufuli, who either died naturally or was killed by his enemies in, but I don't know whether it's in the old colonial masters or new colonial masters, or however they linked up, because he was building and has built, made wonderful strides in Tanzania, using local resources and especially local financing. And we are seeing now that in Burkina Faso, Captain Traore is doing pretty much a similar thing, and the financing. We tend to think that finance has to come from money has to come from outside of our countries. That is not true. Outside money is only needed to buy stuff from outside of the country, and especially if you have the African Continental Free Trade Area, which it is going to happen as more and more countries join with the AES. we are seeing that it's likely that Senegal might join soon. Togo might join soon, partly out of necessity, and others. And by the way, the AES states are not the only countries that are looking out and fighting for their people. Sometimes we tend to forget about Rwanda as another example, and Tanzania as another example, and there's another country I'm trying to remember which is stepping up nicely, and to different degrees. You have some of the other ones are becoming more and more progressive in terms of using the resources to benefit the majority of the people in the country. The people, majority of people being Africans, and not just the minority of the Chinese or Indians, and particularly white people. Of course, some countries are like their governments, and the governments are the main problem. Like recently in South Africa, where we are seeing that.
Hold on, know that it's time to be strong. Let's all believe in the future. Together we can move on. Hey, raise up your voice and be heard. Calling every generation, all over together.
Welcome, fellow Pan-Africanists and supporters of African-led development. Today, we're diving into an extraordinary story of citizen power and financial empowerment that's making waves across the continent. Buckle up as we explore how Burkina Faso's citizens have raised a staggering $220 million for President Ibrahim Traore's visionary development projects. Are you ready to witness the dawn of a new era in African finance? Picture this. A nation united, not by foreign aid or IMF loans, but by the collective will of its people. That's exactly what's happening in Burkina Faso right now. President Ibrahim Traore, a leader who's captured the hearts and minds of his people, has achieved something truly remarkable. Through a government bond initiative, Burkinabe citizens have demonstrated their unwavering support for their country's future, raising an incredible 129 billion CFA francs. That's about 220 million. But what makes this achievement so special? And why should every Pan-Africanist be paying attention? Let me break it down for you because I am excited for Burkina Faso. Before we continue, just a gentle reminder to like and share our videos. Also, subscribe to the channel to stay informed on the latest African economic, political, and social developments, and explore how global geopolitics impact the continent. Now let's continue. Ibrahim Traore isn't your typical African leader. Since rising to power in 2022, he's been on a mission to redefine Burkina Faso's approach to development. His vision? A Burkina Faso that stands on its own 2 feet, free from the shackles of neo-colonial and imperialistic financial institutions. Traore's stance is clear. No more borrowing from the IMF or World Bank. Instead, he's championing what he calls endogenous development, a strategy that focuses on leveraging local resources and playing to Burkina Faso's strengths. It's a bold move, but one that's resonating deeply with the Burkinabe people. But here's the million-dollar question. Can a country truly develop without relying on traditional global financial institutions? Traore and the people of Burkina Faso believe so. Do you agree with that? Drop your thoughts in the comments below while we continue. Now let's talk strategy. Developing a nation isn't cheap, and Burkina Faso, like many African countries, has significant infrastructure and economic needs. But instead of turning to the usual suspects for funding, Traoré has taken a different approach. First, he established a national treasury bank to raise money for structural projects. President Ibrahim Traoré established the bank as part of his strategy to fund Burkina Faso's development without relying on international lenders like the IMF or World Bank. This bank serves as a mechanism to raise money domestically for structural projects. By directing government agencies, individuals, and organizations to deposit with the national treasury, Traoré aims to tap into local resources and citizen support. This move alone signaled a shift towards financial sovereignty, but Traoré knew more was needed. That's where the government bond initiative comes in. On April 11, 2024, Burkina Faso's public treasury launched its first bond issue of the year. The goal? To raise 120 billion CFA francs on the regional financial market. It was a bold move, a test of the nation's financial credibility and the people's trust in their government. And boy, did the people deliver. Not only did they meet the target, they smashed right through it. The bond issue was oversubscribed, raising a total of 129 billion CFA francs. That's 108% of the initial goal. Let that sink in for a moment. In a world where we're often told that African nations can't fund their own development, Burkina Faso's citizens just proved otherwise. This isn't just about money. It's a powerful demonstration of trust in Traoré's government and his vision for the country. So when next Western media start their propaganda about how the citizens do not like the military regime of Ibrahim Traoré, just refer them to this video.
There are people that have been buying houses for $1,000 all over the country, and not many people know about this or even how to do it. Some properties are being sold for $500. There's some going for $300. This one sold for $2,000. So today I'm about to share exactly how you can go through this process and buy a house for as little as $1,000 too. And no, you do not have to worry about a credit score or anything else. What's up guys, this is Monique and welcome back to the channel. I am back with the news that you definitely can use. But first, if you are new here, hello, bonjour, hola, aloha, konnichiwa, wagwan, shalom, assalamu alaikum, jambo, ciao, namaste. So let me first start off by letting you know this is not going to be the conventional way to buying a house where you have to go and pay that high interest rate, which is over 7% right now. You don't have to worry about getting a 30-year loan, neither do you have to worry about getting those credit scores up to do this. And the crazy thing is, not a lot of people are even talking about this, but guess what? That stops today. So make sure you grab your pen and your paper so that you can write down all of this good info. So the actual way that many people are now getting into home ownership is by bidding on houses. And again, a lot of these bids are extremely low. Some are able to get these homes for hundreds of dollars. There's people that are getting homes for $1,000, $5,000. I have actually bid on several homes before, so when I'm giving you this information, it is from my own personal experience. But this is a house right here that I actually bid on, because I'm sure when you think of buying a house for $1,000, it has to be just a piece of wood. But these are actually some really nice homes that are being sold for the low. And I keep saying houses, but you can also bid on land too. This is some land that just sold for $6,000. And another thing being sold is commercial property. This is actually a building that my husband and I were interested in getting. However, we were outbid for this, but the bid did start at $5,000. And let me let you know this right now, every house won't end up being sold for $1,000 when you bid on it, or $5,000. Sometimes it may go up to $20,000, sometimes $30,000, but regardless, you still end up paying a fraction of whatever their house or land is actually worth. But today I am going to show you how to find the cheaper homes, the ones that are going for $1,000, and how you can pretty much find them all over the country. Now, in order for you to buy a house for the low, the first thing we are going to have to do is go and look at a tax sales map. And on this map, you are going to want to either focus on the states that are red or the states that are yellow. Don't mess with none of those other states, and let me tell you why. Because the states that are red are tax deed states. This means that once you bid on the house that the state is auctioning off and you win that bid, you will automatically receive that property. It will be transferred to you and you are now the owner. Now, the yellow states are what's called redemption deed states. That means, again, you place the bid on that home that the state is auctioning, you win that bid, then the state will give that owner a certain amount of time to redeem it. And that time frame can be as low as 6 months up to 2 years on average. There are some states, however, that will give them 3 years to redeem it. And then it's at that point that you can take ownership of that property. But do not worry, you do not lose your money in the process. What ends up happening is you will receive your money back. On top of that, they will have to pay some penalties and different fees, which means that you'll be collecting interest on top of that, kind of like an investment. But then if the owner does not do what they have to do to redeem their home in a certain amount of period that they are given, then you will become the new owner. And the reason that these homes are being auctioned off by the state anyway has to do with a failure to pay taxes. Now, one of the properties that I was interested in, I learned through my
We are the countries of Africa, our planet's second largest continent right after Asia. We are the countries of Africa. There are 54 countries presently that we will teach ya. My name's Algeria, my capital is Algiers. I'm Angola, Luanda's been my capital for years. Benin is my name, my capital's Porto Novo. Botswana's my name, Gaborone my capital. I'm Burkina Faso, oh Ouagadougou's my capital. My name's Burundi.
This segment is about the Wambugu apple, how a Kenyan farmer created a unique apple variety and turned down an offer of 30 million Kenyan shillings from a white man. The second part of the segment is about farmers in Christiana, Jamaica, who are growing that variety of apple. The slide about the Wambugu apple in Christiana, Jamaica, was posted by Sister Latoya Panton in May of 2024, and it says, Wambugu apples ready for harvest. Who said money doesn't grow on trees? You could be harvesting in less than 12 months as well. The slide is hard to read because of the black background. Okay. As usual, when I read an article, it's for the benefit of people who are watching the video on cell phones, and the text of the slides, the text is too small for them to read. Mr. Peter Wambugu started off as a coffee farmer, but he would later cut off the coffee trees and began farming tree tomatoes and passion fruits. He later got an opportunity to supply the tree tomatoes and passion fruits in a local international hotel, but was asked to deliver the two fruit varieties plus apples. Wambugu did not know where to get the apples, and in the process of finding the fruit, a woman asked him to go to the ADDI forest and get the apple fruits. Wambugu came back home with a seedling and tried to plant it, but it did not do well, prompting him to get
3 more apple varieties which he grafted. After planting the grafted seedlings, the tree produced fruits that were larger and sweeter than the ordinary apples. The grafted apple trees produce between 300 and 500 fruits per year. News started spreading and people were now interested in knowing more about this apple, and Mr. Wambugu started receiving visitors from all over the country. He first appeared in the newspaper in 2001, and as a result, Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, then known as KARI, came to approve the apple and then named it the Wambugu apple. Agricultural experts from KARI came after my story on the 2001 Gazette. They approved the fruit and named it Wambugu apple, and that's how the apple came to life, Mr. Wambugu said to Lynn Nguni on LNN Network. He disclosed that a few weeks later he received a call from a white man who requested to buy the name Wambugu apple for 30 million Kenyan shillings, but Mr. Wambugu was not willing to sell the intellectual property of the self-innovated seed apple breed. His family was very unhappy with him, as they thought 30 million shillings was a lot of money and would lift the family from poverty. There is a white man who came, and I will not mention names, but he placed 30 million shillings, Kenyan shillings, on the table and asked me to sell the name Wambugu apple. I refused, and my children are very unhappy with my decision, Mr. Wambugu said. Today, they applaud their father for protecting the family legacy, and they are glad they left their well-paying jobs and followed in the footsteps of their parents, and now they farm the Wambugu apple. This apple has been able to earn the family billions of shillings, and they have farmers across the world. Speaking to Citizen Digital on the end-to-end Wambugu apple agriculture value chain, Kate, the Wambugu apple ambassador, said the apple will be available in the local and international markets after the launch of the first state-of-the-art apple washing, grading and packaging machine on the 12th of January 2024 in the Infinity Industrial Park in Kiambu County. The Wambugu apple will be available in our local supermarkets. We will not continue selling the apple Kia something. The Wambugu will be graded and packaged as from January 12th after the launch, Kate told the Citizen Digital. I am also going to mention that's the end of the article, but Jamaica is growing, one of the countries growing the Wambugu apple, and in Jamaica there's a variety of apple. They call it the Otaiti apple. Very nice. I love it more than the what they call the American apple, but not developed. It's perishable, much more perishable, and it's not developed. Just like most countries where African people are the majority, the governments are not interested. The colonial governments are not interested in developing the local resources and the local people. So Professor PLO Lumumba said the grass is greener on the other side, in the white countries, because they water the grass which was planted by the labor to a large extent of our foreparents as slaves, planted and grown and over the decades and centuries by African people all over in Africa and outside of Africa, they are not being developed. We see that the governments in these countries, especially in the African countries, where so much technological development, the people who are doing it, they have to get stuff from scrap heap, and there is no help from their government. And sometimes the folks from the Caucasian countries, white people, come and grab the talent and take them away and use and develop it, and so on. So there's a lot of work we need to do, but I'm glad to see developments and us doing things outside of entertaining the other races, working for the other races, entertaining them, and most of the money, is the business side of it is made and kept by the other races. We have a lot of work to do for our economic liberation and for economic equality with the other races.
Well then, I grade. We need ya, hey. I need some herb in my brain, so bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain and break up all the circles and the chains. I need some meditation in my brain, so bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain. Break up all the circles and the chain. Hey, no, this could never be no man killer. Good for my head, so me call it as the man killer. When me ill, you know me never need a painkiller.
Let's talk about censorship. It has been a topic of conversation amongst Africans, especially recently, because of what happened to a media outlet that a lot of us actually followed. I followed, and it's sad to see that they are being shut down. You know who I'm talking about, African Stream. They have done such a great job, at least from where we're sitting. They were giving the African perspective. They were covering all these areas that a lot of mainstream media platforms won't cover. They were doing a great job as far as we're concerned, and they just got completely removed from most social medias. I think they're only active on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, now X. I'm not sure if they're there, but I think I saw something like they've been demonetized even there. So Africans that are in Africa, that are in the diaspora, I think it's time. It's time to come together. It's time to do what we can to contribute, to create our own platform that we can tell our own stories, the narrative that we want to tell, the truth that the world doesn't want to hear about us, as well as the truth that they don't want us to tell ourselves and our own people. If we don't wake up now, if we don't come together and start creating our own platform, honestly, the future doesn't look bright, because at the end of the day, when we wake up, it means trouble for so many people, and they will do their best to silence us. Also, speaking of censorship, there's a video I recently watched. It's the president of El Salvador, Nayib. He was basically almost like teaching or educating or almost warning the West that this is not going to end well if they continue with their censorship.
Salvadoreños reconocemos estos síntomas de la decadencia cuando los vemos, porque hemos pasado por todos ellos. Vivimos las etapas de la caída de nuestra nación una por una. Y estamos viendo esas mismas etapas una vez más, pero esta vez a escala global. No podemos ni deseamos decirles a otros países lo que tienen que hacer. Cada país debe tomar sus propias decisiones y hacer lo que sea mejor para su gente. Solo podemos ofrecer una palabra de advertencia de un amigo que ha pasado por una época oscura y ha librado la batalla de su vida para salir de ella. No podemos cambiar el curso del mundo. El Salvador es un país demasiado pequeño. Somos de hecho el país más pequeño de todo el continente americano. Esto es mucho más grande que nosotros y de hecho es más grande que cualquier nación. No podemos prevenir los tiempos oscuros que se avecinan, pero lo que sí podemos hacer es convertirnos en un pequeño refugio ante la tormenta que se aproxima y mantener la esperanza. En El Salvador no encarcelamos a nuestra oposición, no censuramos opiniones, no confiscamos bienes de quienes piensan diferente. No arrestamos a las personas por expresar sus ideas. En El Salvador tu libertad de expresión, así como tu propiedad privada, siempre estarán protegidas. En El Salvador priorizamos la seguridad de nuestros ciudadanos honestos sobre la comodidad de los criminales. Algunos dicen de que hemos encarcelado miles, pero la realidad es que hemos liberado a millones. Ahora son los buenos los que viven libres, sin miedo, con sus libertades y derechos humanos totalmente respetados.
I hope they listen to him because they're not headed in the right direction. In 2024, when Africans are fighting to have freedom of speech for these huge nations and great nations who want to silence ideas and oppositions, it's not looking good, and I think it's up to us to create our own so we don't have to beg anybody to stay on a platform.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your contacts. Thank you.